Hello and welcome to New Shuttle. I'm Shashwati Bothagur Dixit from the New Shuttle team. What do you get when you combine a steely determination and a desire to beat all odds? You get Vivek Vijayan. Not only is he the author of a crime thriller called I Lie in Wait, but he has also managed not to let his physical limitations mar his dreams. Joining us all the way from Kerala is Vivek Vijayan. Welcome to New Shuttle, Vijayan.
Thank you.
So, Vivek, tell me something about yourself.
How can you put it? The best metaphor would be a child in a fair, or if I take a millennial language, in a shopping mall, because I'm just in awe of everything that I come across in my life, especially nature. So I'm curious about everything and anything that is in this universe.
That was so interesting to hear, Vivek. Vivek, you are a prolific writer. You have authored a book. Tell us something about this love for writing. Have you always been a writer? Have you always been interested in writing? And when did you take up sort of writing professionally?
I've been fascinated by writing from the start. It all started as a competition, because when I was in fifth standard or fourth, I don't remember correctly, most of my classmates started writing stories in Malayalam. So that just piqued my curiosity, like I said. And I thought, why not I try my hand at it? So I started writing short stories, mostly in Malayalam, and most of it was how to put it, plagiarized versions of what I saw on TV, or of course what I read from my other friends. I shamelessly copied them. And that's how it all started, actually. And at that time, it was like the cable TV was a new thing. So I used to watch many crime shows like CID, for example.
And, we all love CID, don't we?
Series called yes, that's it. And there was a series called there is a series called Ahat.
Yes, I remember.
So, like I said, the curiosity in me made me go into that genre as well, horror. And I used to watch all kind of films as well, mostly thrillers and horror flicks. And it always piqued my curiosity as to how do they do this? How do they come up with stories or come up with plots? So it always fascinated me. That's how my writing started. I took it as a career or serious writing when I started learning astrology. I did a SWOT analysis, you could say, and found out that language is one of my biggest strengths. So a career in that would make me feel comfortable and how to put it, give me a cushion as to venture into all those areas. So that's how I took up writing seriously. And my biggest inspiration is and always will be Miss J.K. Rowling. And I have said it in my acknowledgements as well. Her life story was something out of the blue and so surreal, and it inspired me a lot. So I wanted to be a writer like her. And of course, fantasy, the world of Harry Potter is something every kid is fascinated about. I too was. And that's how I started writing seriously, that too in English. And actually, it was my father who first found that I had a lucid style of writing, unlike other writers. And that gave me a confidence boost, because I looked up to him to everything. So actually, he was the one who found the writer in me. You could say that. And that's how I started writing. The first novella I wrote was about a game of chess. And chess is one of my favorite games. So it was actually about a physically disabled or differently able, according to the current lingo, and how he overcomes his disability to be a chess champion. It was a short novella, and that was about it. I never intended to publish or anything like that. And after that, incidentally, I happened to meet uh, director Jairaj, and he was the one who like encouraged me to take up writing as a serious profession. And as the saying goes, the rest is history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your novel, I Lie in Wait. So, how does this idea come about? Where did this spring from? Where did you always wanted to sort of write a book, or this was at the back of your mind? How did this everything come together for this book?
Actually, I wanted to be a writer ever since I learned about J.K. Rowling, and it was one of my biggest dreams to become a writer. And like I said, director Jairaj asked me to write a film script for him, not for him per se, but just write. That's what he said. And once I wrote it, he was very impressed with the story, and we took it seriously and approached many producers. But at that time, the Malayalam film industry was not willing to invest money in a female-oriented movie, so to say, because everybody wanted a superstar for that movie. And I didn't want to compromise on the story as well, because the novelty of my story is the female protagonist. So I didn't want to compromise on that. So we approached many producers, and one of my friends, not friend, my brother's friend actually, he was willing to produce it. Unfortunately, Mr. Modi brought about the demonetization, and everything went haywire. So we have to put a pause on that. And that was when again director Jairaj encouraged me to like make it into a novel. He said I thought it was to be in Malayalam, but he insisted that it should be in English and it should have a global release, and like the world should know that you have the story. So I said, okay, then we'll go about it. So I made the script into a novel and asked my cousin's wife. Her name is Kalyani. She's also a journalist. I went to her for the edits, and that was when the second shock hit me. Like, to be a novel, it should have at least 50,000 words. The one I wrote had only 22,000. So I was a long way out from the novel. So I thought, why not create some subplots for the main protagonist, and started writing. And of course, it was she was all the way. Kalyani was all the way with me during the edits, during the re-edit, and after close to 8 drafts, we finally was out with the project. And the next hurdle was to get a publisher. Like Mr. Jairaj said, it needed a global audience, so I approached rather the top publishing houses in India. Only Amazon was gracious enough to just revert back to me. And but unfortunately, they had their hands full with many of the projects. So they asked me to wait for another year which I didn't want to, because this was a dream I want to live in 2020 itself. So they were very gracious to say that you can approach other publishing houses. That's when I searched Google again for the publishing house that promotes upcoming writers. That's how Notion Press was very welcoming, and they were all the way with all the, like, I didn't know releasing a book was so easy, because they made it so. I all I did was give them the material, and they did the rest, from the layout, from everything. And they, of course, they had my feedback. And my brother and my aunt was the one who came up with the cover design that now you see. The spider web and the blood and the macabre nature of it all are all courtesy of my brother Deepak and my aunt Leela. And that's how it went. But we planned a big launch, but unfortunately Corona happened, and so we had to pause everything. And since the publishing house was based in Chennai, Chennai was the worst hit in Corona. So that also made the promotion activities very hazy. But fortunately, only 1 month went by without any sales. From May onwards, the sales picked up, and I'm happy to say that close to 120 to 30 books are now out, and slowly the pace is picking up. And of course, by courtesy of fellow brothers and sisters like you, it's easier for me to promote my book as well. So so it's picking up, and I'm living that dream.
You surely are. Vijayan, of late, say last couple of years, many digital platforms have come out, many OTT platforms. So they have opened up sort of a new world for female-oriented roles and scripts who have a strong female protagonist.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought of foraying into writing for web series and OTT platforms? Has this thought crossed your mind?
Of course, it has crossed my mind, and since I belong to the family of Arya Dishala, I am blessed enough to meet people from all forays of life. And I happened to meet Mr. Suri Gopalan, who is the the man of Vista India Solutions, and they are into Netflix, Amazon, all kind of stuff. And he was very particular that I write for such platforms, and I have approached many people with my book as well. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed to see my book made into a web series or a film, maybe in Netflix or Amazon. Let's see how it pans out. That's the surprise of it. That's the mystery of it.
Yes, sometimes surprises are the best. So it comes out, we hope for the best, and we hope that it comes out really well in your favor. Also, Vivek, you hail from an illustrious family with your grandfather, Dr. P.K. Warrior, being the chief physician and managing trustee of Arya Vaidyanshala, Kottakkal. So, how much of an influence do you think your family and your family members have had on you? And how did this influence make you the sort of person you are?
Actually, I am what I am because of my family, simply put. That is the gist of it. There is nothing more to it or no less. I am what I am because of my family, my brother, my father, my mother, everybody, even my aunts, uncles, cousins, entire lot. They made me they never made me feel that I am differently abled. They treated me just like a normal person. And the way they talk with me, the way they share their joys, their sorrows, and every every aspects of life that we come across as a family is something that's I'm truly blessed. But I can't say anything more to it. To have a family, and like I said, the being a member of this family opens up a platform or a window, not a window, it's actually a giant door uh, for all kinds of people. I was blessed to meet from saints to biggest business tycoons, from writers to producers to actors, you name it. Even like I even got to meet Mr. Mohanlal. I have heard of this. So what more can you?
Ask
Yeah,
for.
what more can you ask? Yeah. So that is I am what I am because of my family. That's the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because your family is like this combined entity, and their thought processes, their actions, they have a deep impact on you. Yeah. And Vivek,
Of course, yes.
you have been diagnosed with this condition of spinal muscular atrophy. Tell us something more about it. How did it happen? Is it a genetic disorder, or how have you like sort of you have beaten the odds? Tell us something about that.
Okay. I was diagnosed with this at the age of 3. But prior to that, at 1.5 years, I was given a polio shot of polio. And like I said, this is a genetic disease, and it is the like diagnosis of the doctors that uh, the polio that I took triggered this gene, and hence the disease. So it was at the age of 3 we diagnosed it as spinal muscular atrophy, and it's a degenerative disease. Normally, the people who suffer from this disease uh, won't live up to 30. That's how it is, because the muscles become weak, and they die. That's that's how it happens. But fortunately, I was born to a family of great, in fact, best doctors, and the systemic treatment that I underwent, Ayurveda and allopathy. Allopathy, of course, I have a weak stomach, so I have to have many vitamin tablets, other to curtail my deficiency. And along with it, the Ayurvedic treatment. Actually, it was a holistic treatment, you could say. So a bit of yoga, a bit of pranic healing, a bit of Reiki, everything. Everything has it's a cocktail of sorts. So everything has its uh, influence on me. But the major share of it, my should and would go to Ayurveda. The systemic treatment that I underwent every year, twice, put a stop to actually arrested this disease. So there is no degeneration happening now. But I can't regenerate my muscles, hence the difficulty. So we are working on it to trying out medicines, trying out new areas of medical science to get it kickstart. Like you kickstart a bike or scooter. So once it starts, then it's like tomorrow I would be able to walk. So I'm waiting for that to happen. You can say.
We hope,
Yeah.
we sincerely hope that moment comes very, very soon, because it's very rare to find a person
Thank
with
you.
your strength and your positivity, the way you smile, and you are sort of you're downplaying your condition, and you say, okay, this is my condition, I'm going to live with it, but I'm not going to let this be the defining moment or defining character of my life. I'm going to do as I please. Whatever I want to do, I'm going to achieve. So we salute you for that, Vivek. Okay, Vivek, tell me,
Thank you.
apart from writing that I know that you do extremely well, what are your other interests or hobbies? Do you pursue any other interests?
Of course, I pursue many interests. Like I said, I'm a curious child. So I'm curious about everything. Uh, I I learned astrology from my grandfather, Mr. KG Warrior, not my paternal grandfather, my maternal grandfather. He was a teacher at Science School, Amravati Nagar. It's a small town in Tamil Nadu. Uh, he was a teacher there, English teacher. So you know where my antecedents are. I learned astrology from him, uh, and that's how I got to uh, know about the Indian culture heritage. Up until then, I was just like any other teenager who knows nothing about our culture or heritage. The only history I know was from the history books that people wrote or we learned in the school. Uh, but the science of astrology made me realize that actually it was the first step to Alibaba's cave full of treasures. uh, so, uh, that's how I started to venture into the Indian philosophy, Vedas, Upanishads. I studied astrology up until 2009, 5 years. I started learning in 2004, just after my 12th standard, and I pursued a graduation in English literature, which unfortunately I couldn't complete because of I had to travel to Kozhikode to write the exam. So I was pretty weak then to travel and would get affected by ailments. So I didn't want to put my parents at bay. So I didn't complete it. I just finished the first year. That's it. So I had enough time in my hands after 12. So I pursued astrology, and for 5 years I learned it from my grandfather. After that, my grandfather became too weak and too disoriented to teach me. So he asked me just to I have taught you the basics. Now you build upon what you have. So I said, okay, fair enough. Uh, Incidentally, that I believe in. I don't believe in coincidences. I think it's all a divine play. My mom went to study Vedas. There is a Sai Samiti here in Portugal, near to my house, and they had started Veda classes there. So my mother went, and unfortunately, she couldn't continue. So I asked her whether I could learn or whether they would be willing to come to my house and teach me. So my guru, Mr. Narayanan, he was very gracious enough to uh, come to my house and teach me the Vedas and Upanishads. And for again another 4 years, I meticulously learned. Uh, no, not 4 years, 5 years. Yeah, 2014 Jan. So I learned the Vedas and Upanishads, and that was something that I cherish the most in my life. One of the cherishing moments. Uh, those 5 years was the best in my life because I came to know about the intricacies of the language of Sanskrit and how uh, like how the minds of our ancient people worked. So it was something that was very special moments of those 5 years, and those are the two aspects I enjoy the most, or I indulge in the most. The other being, of course, not only I'm a thriller writer, I'm a thriller fan. So I voraciously read all kinds of thrillers, Forensic Process, Sydney Sheldon Lee Child, all the aces, you name it, and I am a huge fan of all their work. So that is one of my hobbies, and currently I am pursuing to learn Russian, Spanish, and Korean, three languages that fascinates me. So that is one thing that I'm indulging myself in now. Yeah, so that's about it. And of course, there are other things also, Reiki, pranic healing, other kind of spiritual stuff, which people might find a bit odd. because normally the one question people ask me, you are into spirituality and you are into thrillers. Those are it's a highly contrast situation. How do you do it? So I said, that's me. What can I say? I am a contrast of sorts. Yeah, so yeah, those are the things that I do most. And of course, movies and series. You name the OTTs, I am a huge binge watchers of series. So yeah, those are all my idiosyncrasies, so to say.
A writer, a voracious reader, a learner of the Vedas, a linguistic enthusiast, and not to mention a lover of the movies, Vivek Vijayan is a culmination of contrasts. From all of us at News Shuttle, Vivek, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this memorable conversation. Thank you for being on the show, Vivek. And we have nothing but wishing you the very, very best for your future. And we can't wait for your new book. And
thank you.
We hope to keep in touch.
Hopefully, it will be released next year.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hopefully,
and we wish to hear more of you and more from you. And with that, I wrap up, Vivek. Thank you so much for being on the show. And it's a wrap from me, Shashwati Bodhakur Dikshit, from the New Shuttle team. Until next time, goodbye.